Ever had that moment where you click add to cart on a sleek backup appliance, only to discover a week later that the device can't actually keep up with your team's real-world workflow? I've heard the same story from a handful of small business owners who thought a fancy box with a big logo meant set it and forget it, and then spent hours untangling missed backups, restore errors, and a sudden spike in ransomware alerts. That frustration is exactly why I'm doing this deep dive, so you can avoid the dreaded looks good on paper, terrible in practice trap. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's talk about the problem first. Modern offices run on a mix of laptops, desktops, and a few mobile devices, all storing critical files that can't afford to disappear overnight. Traditional external hard drives or cloud-only solutions each have blind spots. The hard drive can fail, the cloud can be inaccessible if you lose internet, and both are vulnerable if ransomware encrypts your active files before a backup even runs. What you really need is a solution that sits on your local network, takes immutable snapshots, and can survive a ransomware attack long enough for you to roll back to a clean state. That's the niche Synology's DP340 is trying to fill. The DP340 is marketed as an ActiveProtect appliance, which basically means it's a dedicated endpoint backup hub that automatically pulls data from Windows, Mac OS, and even Linux machines on your LAN. It's not a full-blown NAS that you'd use for media streaming or file sharing. Instead, it's purpose-built to lock down backup copies in a way that ransomware can't easily overwrite. For a company that already trusts Synology for its file storage, the DP340 feels like a logical next step, especially if you've been hunting for a way to add air-gap-style protection without physically disconnecting drives every month. Who should actually consider buying this? First, any small to medium business that already runs a Synology NAS for file services and wants a single pane of glass for both primary storage and backup. Think of a law firm with sensitive client documents, a medical office with patient records, or a creative agency handling large video projects. The DP340 integrates with Synology's DSM operating system, so you can set policies from the same web interface you already use to manage user permissions and shared folders. That reduces the learning curve dramatically. It also offers version snapshots, meaning you can roll back a file to its state from a week ago, a month ago, or even earlier, which is a lifesaver when a malicious script sneaks into a shared drive and starts encrypting everything. On the flip side, if you're a solo freelancer, a home user, or a startup that's still figuring out whether you need a dedicated backup appliance at all, the DP340 is probably overkill. The device assumes you have a stable Ethernet network, a separate storage pool, usually a Synology NAS, and the bandwidth to push backups from multiple endpoints every night. If your office is still on Wi-Fi only, you'll notice the backup windows stretch longer, and you might end up with a backlog of pending jobs. In that scenario, a simple cloud backup service or an external USB 3.0 drive could actually give you faster, cheaper protection. Now let's break down the practical strengths that matter after you've unboxed it. The first thing I noticed during setup is how straightforward the initial wizard is. You plug the unit into your network, power it up, and DSM automatically detects the DP340, prompting you to assign it to an existing storage volume. From there, you map endpoint groups, say, marketing laptops and finance desktops, and define backup schedules. The wizard also asks if you want to enable immutable snapshots, which writes the backup in a read-only mode after a configurable period, usually 2,448 hours. That's the key defense against ransomware. Even if a virus encrypts the live files on a laptop, the snapshot stored on the DP340 can't be altered because the file system flags it as immutable. Another real-world win is the restore process. In a test I ran with a mock ransomware event, I simply opened DSM, navigated to